acknowledge the Quandamooka people, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and pay my respects to their elders. I'd like to welcome Mayor Karen Williams and Councillor Mark Edwards, and Karen's actually going to welcome the Dragons for us in a minute.
And good evening everyone, and I too would like to acknowledge the Quandamooka people, the traditional owners of the land on which we gather here this evening, and I pay respects to their elders past and present. And I'd like to acknowledge my colleague here, Councillor Mark Edwards, who's a great advocate for all of you over here, and it's lovely to have him over here and buying me a glass of wine after a hard day's work. Thank you very much, Mark.
Hello, Club. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Macleay Island Classic, which is a canoe race around Macleay Island, and we're just run it for the 6th time, just 2 weeks ago. Okay, the event is actually in 2 sections, run at the same time. There's a relay race, which we have teams of 5, and they take a leg each of the relay and move right around Macleay Island, finishing up at the Tingira Boat Club. The main event is a single event, so people need to paddle all the way around Macleay Island. The first person in normally takes about 1 hour and 5 minutes, and that's for 15 kilometres. Okay, we give cash prizes for the first, second and third, male and female, and also category prizes for crafts and ages. This is the medal that we give all the category prizes. Okay, examples might be we have ocean skis, we have outriggers, we have stand-up paddlers, which is hard work, and we divide those into age groups as well. The majority of our paddlers, you think they'd all be young people, but they're not. They're mainly over 40 years old and upwards. Our oldest competitor was 80, and you might know him. There's a resident on this island. It's Digby Huffin. So he turns 80 this year, which is remarkable. Okay, our last event was only 2 weeks ago, and we had 57 registrants. And because some of them were in doubles or in a relay race, and we also had an outrigger which had 6 people on, we had 82 people who were out there on the water, which again is quite remarkable. Also on the water, we have our boats, and Paul over here, who thinks he's me, was in charge of the boats. People get us fixed up. I'm a lot more handsome than he is. Okay, we had 2 check boats. We had boats at the lead and at the finish, following the boats, and lots and lots of safety boats just winding around, keeping a track on the paddle so they got the trouble. On that particular event, when we started on this side of the island, it was nice and smooth. By the time they got round to the other side, it was a bit bumpy, so a couple of crafts actually went over. And then they came around here again, past the Bowls Club. If you had been sitting out there, you would have a marvellous view, and it was quite calm again. Okay, at the moment, and this will probably expand if we have our way, our catchment area is from Byron Bay down in New South Wales. We had competitors coming up from there, and to the north from Hervey Bay. And we also had a large contingent from Noosa. So that's where our paddlers come from. If we're talking about tourism, then we are bringing people to the island, people from a long way. And because of that, because they're coming long distances, what we do is to have the event on the Sunday. We invite people to come on the Friday or the Saturday, stay on the islands, or some this year actually stayed on the mainland and paddle across, and then they can take on the delights of the island while they're here, and then compete in the event on the next day. So everyone benefits, all the clubs, all the supermarkets, all the B&Bs, the whole works. We also have an event dinner on the Saturday night. This is another way of encouraging people to come across and be part of our event dinner, which is down at the Boat Club. The event is supported by the community. Many people are needed to help with the event, and the club members do a lot of that work, but there's a lot of individuals who also come along and help. And then there's also organisation and Lions around the city at the moment. They help us with the event, and also the Bay Island Golf Club, but they also help us out a lot. Now, this is a major fundraising event for the Tingira Boat Club. We don't have poker machines and all those sorts of things, so this is the way that we raise our money. We have an entry fee for each competitor, but this doesn't cover our costs at this stage. If we had more competitors, perhaps they would. So we do rely on sponsorship. Unfortunately, this year we had it down to was a couple of our major sponsors, BITS, who now, because they're TransLink, they don't have a budget for doing this sort of thing. And also there's Eileen from the Redland City Council. They probably won't vote for me now. Why am I up here now? We've got an established event, been going 6 years, so how can you help us? Well, it's been very successful up to now, but we need to move on to the next stage to make it bigger and better, to bring more people to the islands. And that's where we need our help. So we need to increase our sponsorship numbers and our competitors. Thank you very much.
I was here last year actually when it was on Trevor, wherever Trevor is, somewhere around the place, on his back deck having a nice glass of red. And it was actually spectacular. No, definitely not. It was a great event. It was so good. It appeared to be well organised to me. But I think this is what it's all about when you talk about tourism. It's celebrating what's unique about it. You can't have a paddle around Cleveland or somewhere else. You're an island, so let's celebrate the fact that you're an island. I think that's fantastic. And I think the question to you is how big or small do you want to make this event? And I suppose it's a community question rather than to an individual, because this is something that could really go a long way. This ocean skiing is a massive sport nowadays. It's the cycling of middle-aged people, and I've got a mate who goes over to Hawaii and does ocean ski paddles, and he goes up and down the eastern seaboard. It really is a great new event and something you can celebrate being an island. There's great waters to run on. You'll be able to run it 365 days a year if you wanted to, or 364 or whatever it would be. So that's the question to yourselves, and of course you also have this dilemma when you're running these things is how do you fund them? You're in the stage now where you've got some competitors, but you're burning up more money in doing it. And the answer to that question really is to get a business model. And the ones that I've been involved in, not with these ones, but similar ones, where you try and make your sponsorship cover your costs, and then your entry fees then are a bonus, if you like. They're your buffer. But really it's up to yourselves as to how small or large you want to make this event. I think it's a great concept. It's something that can't be duplicated other than on an island. They're safe waters. It's a sport that's really growing. Your world's your oyster as far as that's concerned. It's a matter of just attracting your sponsorships. And I'd be looking much further than Macleay Island or any I'd be looking further than Redland City for that matter. I think you could really expand this into a larger event.
Yeah, I suppose that what comes first, the chicken or the egg, will the bigger and better event we have, the more sponsorship we're going to attract. So.
Yeah, just in line with that chicken and egg, how much is first prize?
$400 for male and female, first past the line.
I wonder if you could find a way, however, to make that 4,000, 5,000 prize money. How many would your participant numbers go up? That'd be interesting. I'd enter. As long as you had 4,000 for last place, I'd enter, yeah. But it's interesting to sort of look at those particular models. Like, I'm sure you would get a lot more competitors if the dollar prize money could be higher, and then maybe there's opportunity for the naming rights for the events for 10 grand worth of prize money, or 4 or 2.5, or 1,500 or something like that. So that was the first thing that came to my mind when you said, "Hey, we've got to get competitor numbers up, give more money."
this is where you've got to be very careful about what you want to achieve out of this too. My wife's an artist, and she got involved with a local art group, and we did exactly that. Started from a $1,000 prize and went to about a $15,000 prize. So it actually became an Australia-wide event. It was fantastic, in little old Redlands. Then all the local artists got annoyed because they never got hung at the end. In fact, indeed my wife gave up in the end. So it's a little bit different with this because everyone can compete. But I think it's such a good event. You've really got to look at your philosophy about how big you want to make it. I really think you've got great opportunities.
Yeah, look, I think Gary's question is the key one. You need to decide what you want this to be in 5 or 10 years. And I don't think this is a question of incrementally increasing. You've done that now for 6 years. It works, it finds sort of its balance, I suspect. But if you want to change it into something else, and that's what you want to do, then you really have to crank it up. You have to maybe, if I can, with due respect, say, professionalise every aspect of it. Broaden not just the competitor numbers, but broaden the scope for your sponsorship. Work out exactly what's your target audience, who's going to listen to it, who's going to hear about it, how do you structure it, how do you put a proposition together for a sponsor who doesn't give you $2,000 but $50,000, and several of them. But you have to put the proposition together for them, you have to put the proposition together for the competitors, and the council and everybody else is going to be a stakeholder in this. But you have to be clear where you want to take it, and then you can go headlong into it. And let me say, events are absolutely the focus of every tourism organisation now, right around the world. Everybody says events, that's the game. Because it's experience-based, it excites people, they can take a photo of it, they can put it on Facebook, rather than just a static backdrop from a location. It's all about events. So, you have plenty of examples. Kenyans, they recently, over the last few years, decided they're going to go with the cycling business, the cycling events that they have, the World Championship. They're going all out. They attract a lot of money as a consequence, supporting them, and then it becomes sort of a snowballing effect. But it all has to start with a commitment to where you want to go. And then, by the way, you can also go to David's organisation and apply for regional event funding, for instance, a grant. But you have to have a very strong, clear vision and business plan to back you up.
I agree with everything Daniel's just said, and certainly events are a really important part of the Brisbane marketing structure. Can I ask a question before I talk about anything else? How are you currently going about attracting your competitors?
We do use Facebook. We do have quite a good database. So we're in a series that was run from the Gold Coast, and that's why we got the Hervey Bay to Byron Bay competitors in, so we attracted those people back again. That series is finished. We would talk to Queensland Canoeing and anybody else we can to the surf clubs, try and get it out to the media, things like that.
Great. I was going to mention incentivising and rewarding your repeat attendees so that if they bring someone else along the following year, you'll cut, whatever the fee is to enter. That could be a way of looking at increasing your participants. Partnerships with organisations like Queensland Canoeing, and I'm not sure what the name of that one is because I haven't got a background in canoeing, but those partnerships with state bodies, but also the local bodies, and you've got to hound them. They've got 1,000 things coming at them at once, but I say, he who yells loudest gets heard. So you just keep knocking on those doors and making sure they're pushing out your messages for you. The other thing was, have you looked at your timing? Is there a particular time in the event calendar, maybe between Byron Bay and Hervey Bay, where there's other events, so you can leverage off the back of another big event, because they are fanatics, these. I agree, they'll go where there's a race, and I don't think the prize money matters an awful lot. I think they want a race and a unique race around an island, so maybe have a look at the calendar around particularly the eastern coast of Australia, and see if you can tag on the back of something where you can leverage it and get more people who might be on their way to an adventure race in Cairns, and you coincide it the weekend before, or whatever that might be. It might be an opportunity. And the other thing I would suggest is also, it's not just about your event. The experience of a person coming for an event is incredibly important around advocacy and promoting the region. So partnerships with local, I'm a huge advocate of grassroots local partnerships, and so ensuring that you're helping promote all the other products in this region to every competitor who comes, and making sure that all of your regional partners or your local partners are helping to promote your event as well. So when you don't have huge budgets, leverage others. Leverage Brisbane Marketing. We have event listings for anyone who wants to list an event, and you can now do it yourselves online. But we'll pick them and push them out, particularly regional areas, and certainly leverage Monique and the group at Redlands, because events are really important for them, and participation events in particular are very strong in markets like this, because the reality is you'll struggle with spectator events, but participation events that can then lead on to a tourism visit is a great way to go.
So now mine's just a whole bunch of random ideas because all the good stuff's gone. But look, and I will just throw a few things out there. I think with an event like this where it is about participants and then paddling, it's not necessarily a great spectator event. But if one of the potential things might be linking it to a broader islands festival, so that way then instead of just the competitor coming, if the family come with the competitor and they're there to support dad or the kids or mum or whatever who are paddling, but if there are other things going on around on the island and other things, then again it's that partnership working with other people on the island, so it might be a broader islands festival. I think once you do that, then it's about getting your PR. So, you know, shows like the Great Southeast are looking for these sorts of things all the time. They won't necessarily just film a whole bunch of people paddling, but if it's in a great setting, which it is, so there's fantastic footage, and then you link it to other things that are happening on the island at the same time, then you visually can see what happened. 1 minute you see the start of the race and say, okay, well, let's look at what else is going on. Then they come back, how are the competitors going? So you can see a great little story there. I think getting a high-profile ambassador. Get somebody who's a paddler or an Ironman or somebody that you can get that can be your ambassador, and one I hope you don't pay for, but you know, one that who'll get out there and spruik for you and give you some profile, because I think, as the others said, you need to have those commercial sponsors like, you know, whether it's the BCFs and those sorts of people who, you know, this type of advertising, you know, like TV ads cost them a fortune, whatever, so 10,000, 20,000 is nothing for those bigger companies if they feel they can get really good profile. So really, it does become chicken and egg. If you get the broader audience here, then that appeals to a broader range of sponsors. You get a broader audience, you're having a greater economic impact, you're pushing people into the accommodation houses, into the food outlets and whatever. That will all be critical if then you want to come to us looking for event funding, because the key bottom line for anybody who gets event funding is they have to be driving economic value for the area. It isn't just got to be a good community event, it's actually got to bring new people into an area who are going to spend money either on accommodation and food and whatever.